All right, welcome everyone. We're diving deep into 7 habits for achieving your goals today. You want to know how to actually use these habits, right?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people get tripped up thinking that achieving goals is all about willpower.
Yeah, for sure.
But the truth is, it's more about having the right systems in place.
Oh, interesting.
And that's where habits come in. They're like, the invisible architecture behind success.
I like that. So we often focus on the outcome, but we kind of forget about those daily actions
Right.
that get us there. It's like we're trying to build a house, but without a good foundation.
Exactly. Habits are the bricks and mortar, you
Right.
know? They let our brains go on autopilot so we can keep working towards those goals without burning through all our willpower.
So it's not about being superhuman. It's about working smarter,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
harder. But how do we actually make that shift from
Yeah.
willpower to like habit autopilot?
Well, it all starts with understanding how habits work. Think of it like a loop, a four-stage loop. Cue, craving, response, and reward. Let's say you're trying to make writing every morning a habit.
Hmm.
Your cue could be something as simple as putting your notebook and pen out on your desk the night before.
Oh, okay. So like a visual reminder.
Exactly, a little trigger.
Okay, so then what?
Then there's the craving. That's like the motivation, the desire behind the habit. In this case, it might be that feeling of satisfaction you get after a good writing session.
Right, that feeling becomes like the fuel.
Exactly, drives you forward.
Okay, so the cue gets you thinking about it, and then the craving makes you want to do it.
Yep. Then comes the response, the actual habit itself, sitting down and writing.
Gotcha.
And finally, the reward, the positive reinforcement.
Okay.
That really solidifies the habit loop, like that feeling of accomplishment after you're done writing.
Oh, I see.
Or maybe you treat yourself to a nice cup of coffee.
So we're basically training our brains to connect a certain cue with a good reward. Makes sense. But before we get into making new habits, you always say that it's really important to set clear goals first. Why is that?
Well, because habits work best when they have a specific target. It's like you wouldn't hop in your car and just start driving without knowing where you're going, right?
No, that's a good point. I'd probably get lost.
Exactly. So before you even think about habits, you got to define your goals. And that's where the SMART framework comes in. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
SMART goals, I've heard of those. But to be honest, they can sound a bit, well, corporate-y sometimes.
I hear ya.
How can we make it more personal?
You got to connect your goals to things that really matter to you. So let's say your goal is to get healthier.
Okay.
A smart version of that might be run a 5K in under 30 minutes by training 3 times a week for the next 12 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It's specific to your love of running, and there's a clear time frame,
That makes it feel so much more real.
right?
I can practically see myself crossing that finish line.
Exactly. Your goals should be clear and exciting enough to motivate you to take action.
I'm getting pumped up already. Okay, so we've got our SMART goals figured out, and we know how habits can help us reach them. Now let's dig into those habits. First up, habit #1, setting intentions. What's that all about?
It's all about starting each day with a laser focus on your goals, getting your mind ready for success.
So it's like being proactive instead of just reacting to whatever comes up.
Right, you're setting the tone for the whole day.
I like that. But how do we actually do that? What are some steps we could take?
One good strategy is to build a goal-oriented morning routine. It could be as simple as taking a few minutes to review your goals, visualize yourself achieving them, and then map out your top priorities for the day.
It's like giving yourself a pep talk and a roadmap all in one. I like it.
Yeah.
What else can we do to reinforce those intentions?
Affirmations can be really powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Those positive statements that strengthen your belief in reaching those goals.
I've heard of affirmations, but sometimes, I don't know, they can feel a little cheesy to me.
I get it.
How do we make them work?
You got to make them personal, meaningful to you. Forget the generic stuff. Focus on specific areas where you need a boost. If you tend to doubt yourself, your affirmation could be, I am capable of achieving my goals.
Oh, okay.
Say it to yourself every morning, and you'll slowly start to shift your mindset.
So it's about training our brains to focus on the positive and believe in ourselves.
Exactly.
I can see how these small actions can add up to big changes.
And don't forget, consistency is key. The more you practice setting intentions, the more natural it'll become. And pretty soon, you'll start every day with purpose and focus.
Okay, so we've set our intentions and got our minds in the right place.
Right.
But what about those days when life gets in the way and we just don't feel like sticking to the plan? It's got to happen sometimes, right?
All the time. And that's where habit #2 comes in. Consistency is key. It's about showing up regularly, even when you're not feeling it. It's all about building discipline, turning those desired actions into automatic behaviors.
We've all had those days where the couch looks way more appealing than the gym.
Oh, yeah.
How do we push through that and stay consistent?
Well, one thing to remember is that even small actions count. Don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. Let's say you planned for a 30-minute workout.
Yeah.
But you only have 15 minutes free. Do it. 15 minutes is way better than nothing, and it helps you keep that habit loop going.
So it's about being flexible.
Yeah.
Finding ways to fit those actions in no matter what.
Right. Another important thing is to actually schedule time for your goals.
Okay.
And treat those appointments as non-negotiable. If you want to write every morning, block out that time in your calendar and stick to it, just like you would an important meeting.
So it's about making those goals a real priority. I love that.
Good.
But let's be real, sometimes even with the best plans, we get sidetracked.
Yeah.
That's where habit #3 comes in.
Right. Embrace accountability.
Exactly. We all need support sometimes. Sharing your goals with others can give you that extra push and encouragement. It's like creating a system of checks and balances to help you stay on track.
So we shouldn't try to go it alone.
Right.
It's more about building a network of support.
Yeah,
But what if you're not the type of person who likes to share their goals publicly?
I understand.
How can you still benefit from this habit?
Well, even if you're not comfortable broadcasting your goals to the world, you can still find accountability in smaller ways. Maybe find an accountability partner.
Oh, okay.
Someone you trust who has similar goals and is willing to check in with you regularly.
So it's like having a workout buddy for your personal goals. I get it.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of tracking your progress. Whether it's a journal, a spreadsheet, or an app, seeing those small wins can be really motivating.
It's like a visual reminder of how far you've come
Yeah,
and what you're capable of doing. That's pretty inspiring.
it is. But I imagine there are times when, even with a good support system, we have to rely on our own inner strength.
For sure.
And that's where habit #4 comes in, mastering self-discipline.
Yes. This habit is all about being aware of those distractions, those temptations that pop up, and learning how to manage them. It's about strengthening that mental muscle that keeps you focused, even when things get tough.
So it's about knowing your weaknesses
Yeah,
and putting safeguards in place.
exactly.
But there are distractions everywhere. Where do we even start?
Well, you start by identifying your personal kryptonite. What are the things that pull you away from your goals? For some, it's social media. For others, it's email, maybe even the urge to tidy up instead of working.
Okay, I get it.
Once you know your weaknesses, you can start to minimize their impact.
Like out of sight, out of mind.
Right. So if social media is your thing, maybe delete the apps from your phone while you're working
Okay.
or turn off notifications. Another key part of self-discipline is learning good time management techniques.
Oh.
Learning to prioritize tasks, set deadlines, avoid
I
procrastination.
need help with that one.
That can really boost your productivity. You were saying you struggle with procrastination, especially on those creative projects.
I take time.
Have you ever tried the Pomodoro technique?
I've heard of it.
It's a time management method where you break your work down into intervals,
Okay.
usually like 25 minutes,
Okay.
and then you take a short break.
Okay.
This structure can be really helpful for overcoming that initial resistance
I could see that.
and building up some momentum.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I've heard of it, but I've never actually tried it out.
You should give it a go.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's like breaking down a marathon
yeah,
into smaller sprints.
exactly. And remember, self-discipline is kind of like a muscle.
Oh,
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
right. Makes sense.
It's about making those conscious choices
Mm-hmm.
that align with your goals,
Yeah.
even when it's hard.
And even with the best self-discipline, we all hit those roadblocks, right?
Oh, for sure.
We have setbacks, and that's where a habit #5 comes in. Learning from setbacks.
That's a big one.
It's about learning how to deal with those setbacks and bounce back.
Absolutely.
Because let's be real,
Yeah.
nobody goes through life without facing some challenges.
Nope.
It's not about avoiding them altogether. It's about learning to navigate them
You got it.
and come out stronger on the other side.
You nailed it. Setbacks are going to happen,
Yeah.
but they don't have to define us.
Right.
The trick is to see them as opportunities for growth, not as failures.
Okay.
It's all about shifting your perspective and asking yourself, What can I learn from this?
Okay.
Instead of focusing on the negative,
Yeah.
we can use those setbacks as valuable information that
Yeah.
helps us fine-tune our approach.
I like that. Setbacks is information.
Yeah,
It's like a feedback loop
it is.
that helps us make adjustments along the way.
Exactly.
So do you have any advice on how we can actually make that mental shift? Because in the moment,
Yeah.
it's easy to fall into that trap of self-doubt and discouragement.
Oh, yeah, totally. One technique that I found really helpful is keeping a learning journal.
Oh.
So every time you run into a setback, write down what happened, how you felt, and most importantly, what you learned from it.
Okay.
This helps you step back and really analyze the situation.
I see.
You can spot any patterns,
Right.
maybe some mistakes you keep making,
Yeah.
and then you pull out those valuable lessons
Okay.
that you can use going forward.
It's like turning those setbacks into a roadmap for future success.
Exactly.
I'm definitely going to try that learning journal idea. I like that.
I think you'll find it really helpful.
Okay, but sometimes even with the best attitude,
Yeah.
we need a little extra boost
We do.
to stay motivated, and that's where habit #6 comes in. The power of positive thinking.
Yes. This is all about cultivating that optimistic mindset
Yeah.
that fuels your motivation and your resilience.
Mhm.
It's about choosing to focus on the solutions,
Okay.
not the problems,
Gotcha.
and believing in your ability to overcome those challenges.
So I'm all about mindset.
Yeah.
But when things get really tough,
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to stay positive, you know?
I hear you.
Do you have any tips for actually cultivating optimism,
Yeah.
especially when we're facing those bumps in the road?
Well, one practice that's super powerful is gratitude.
Okay.
Take a few minutes every day
Yeah.
to think about all the things you're grateful for.
Okay.
It could be anything, big or small,
Mm-hmm.
your health, your family, a beautiful sunset,
I like that.
maybe even a good cup of coffee.
Right.
By focusing on the good things,
Yeah.
you shift your attention away from the negative,
Okay.
and you start to rewire your brain for optimism.
So we're training our brains to see the good,
Exactly.
even when things are challenging.
Yeah, it's a practice, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not just about our own internal mindset. It's about the people we surround ourselves with. And that brings us to habit, #7, building a support system.
Yes, we are social creatures.
Yeah.
We need connection.
For sure.
Building a supportive network is
Yeah.
so important for reaching your goals
Okay.
and living a fulfilling life.
It's about having those people who lift you up and inspire you.
Absolutely. People who believe in you and your potential,
Yeah.
they celebrate your wins and offer support when things get tough.
And speaking of support, since you're really passionate about sustainable living,
Yeah.
have you checked out any of those online forums,
Uh-huh.
like specific forum name,
I haven't.
or those local groups that organize community gardens?
I've been meaning to.
Those seem like great places to connect with people who share your interests.
Oh, totally.
You can learn from each other and support each other on your journey.
Those are great suggestions. I got to check those out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get so caught up in my own little world
Yeah, I get it.
that I forget about the power of community.
Yeah. It's like having a whole team of cheerleaders cheering you on.
It is. And speaking of teams, another part of habit #7 is finding mentors.
Oh, yeah. Mentors are great.
We're coaches
Yeah.
who can give you guidance based on their experience.
It's like having a personal guide on the path to success.
Yeah,
But sometimes finding a mentor feels a little intimidating.
I know what you mean.
Do you have any tips for finding a good one?
Well, start by thinking about people you admire,
Okay.
people who have already achieved what you're aiming for.
Gotcha.
Reach out to them, even if it feels a little awkward at first.
Yeah.
Most people are happy to share their insights.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can also join professional organizations
Mm-hmm.
or go to industry events where you can meet potential mentors.
So it's about putting yourself out there
It is.
and being open to learning from people who have already walked the path.
Exactly.
That's great advice. So we've covered all 7 habits now,
We have.
from setting intentions to building a support system. It's clear that these habits aren't just random tips.
No, they're not.
They're a framework
They
for
don't-
creating a life that's more intentional and fulfilling
Definitely.
and ultimately more successful.
Exactly. They're like building blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And with each habit we add,
Yeah,
we create a stronger foundation for the life we want.
right. And they all work together, right?
Yeah.
Each habit reinforces the others.
It's like weaving those habits into the tapestry of your life,
I love that.
creating this beautiful and intricate design
Yeah.
that reflects your values and goals.
But it's one thing to understand these habits.
Yeah.
It's another thing to actually put them into practice,
Oh, absolutely.
and experience their power.
You got to take action.
So true.
Knowledge without action is like a seed that's never planted.
Okay.
It has potential,
Yeah,
but it needs that spark to make it grow.
right.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into these 7 habits,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway?
What's that one thing our listeners should remember?
I think the key takeaway is that change is possible.
Okay.
No matter where you are in your journey,
Yeah.
you have the power to build those positive habits
Mm-hmm.
that will move you closer to your goals.
So it starts with taking ownership of your life
Yeah,
and making those consistent choices
right. Even small ones.
that lead to those big changes.
Exactly. And it's about embracing the whole journey,
Yes.
the ups and downs, using everything you learn to grow.
And you know what's amazing?
What's that?
These habits have a ripple effect.
They do.
When we work on our own growth,
Yeah.
it has a positive impact on the people around us.
For sure. It's like a chain reaction of positivity.
I love that it's about making the world a little bit better
Exactly.
than we found it.
And before we wrap up completely,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with a challenge.
Okay, I like a good challenge.
We've talked a lot about these 7 habits,
Yeah.
but as we said, knowledge without action,
It's like that unplanted seed.
right, it needs that spark.
So how do we take action and make these habits a reality?
Here's the challenge. Pick one habit, the one that speaks to you the most.
Okay.
Maybe it's setting those intentions every morning, or embracing accountability, or maybe it's about getting that positive mindset going.
Okay.
You pick one,
Just one.
and you commit to making it part of your daily routine for a whole week.
So it's not about changing everything at once.
No, just take that first step.
I like that.
And then at the end of the week, think about the impact it's had.
Okay.
How has it changed your thinking, your actions, how you feel overall?
So you really experience the power of these habits for yourself.
Right.
And I bet once you see the positive impact of that one habit, you'll be ready to try more.
It's like a snowball. You start small,
Yeah.
and it just keeps growing.
I love that. Those habits will become part of who you are, shaping everything you do. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought. Imagine yourself a year from now. You've been practicing these 7 habits every single day. What does your life look like? What goals did you crush? What challenges did you overcome? Who have you become?
Think about the future you want and know that you have the power to make it happen. It all starts with the choices you make and the actions you take each day.
This is just the start of your journey with these habits. There's so much more to discover and put into action. Go out there, embrace these habits, and create a life that is truly amazing. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.